And we all know that Batman is a dark creature of the night, a superhero that in his psyche and in his way of act, there is a blur between where the man finishes and the creature starts, which is what makes him so interesting for us and any creator that puts their hands on him. But until what extent the creators tried to cross the line of man and creature to make him a full creature, well, between the years of 1991 and 1998, we had a trilogy of comic books called Batman Vampire with different titles: Red Rain, BLOODSTORM, and Crimson Mist. Of course, they are elsewhere stories, but pretty fun if we ask ourselves, what if Batman actually became a creature of the night, in this case a vampire? It's not the first time that he faces vampires in his stories. I already mentioned here in some videos of the channel that we had two animations in the past with Batman and the theme of vampirism. An actual feature animation of the TV show The Batman from 2004 called Batman vs. Dracula, and also an episode from the cartoon The Brave and the Bold called Shadow of the Bat, where he becomes a vampire and terrorizes other members of the Justice League. And even though these are fun animations, none of them get close to the bloody horror that we have in this trilogy of comics. So I decided to make a brief overview of these comics, taking into consideration that we are in the month of Halloween, and summarize their stories here in the video, alright? So, starting with Red Rain, here we have a story where Batman receives a visit from a mysterious woman during the night, and she bites him in the neck, transforming him into a vampire. Initially, he thinks it was all a dream, cause who wouldn't like a beautiful woman to enter our bedroom in the night and bite you in the neck, right? He starts to investigate some murders in the city, and by the way, what a cool Batmobile that he has in this comic, look at that. Old-fashioned, but kinda cool anyway. In the middle of the investigation, he realizes that his strength is increasing considerably. And even though he doesn't believe in vampirism, he asks the help of a specialist in the topic to try to understand better what's going on. After that, the clues take him to the undergrounds of Gotham, where he finds nothing less than a pile of bodies that had their blood drained completely. Plus, he also finds many skeletal vampires that try to attack him. By the way, I love that these vampires look like the Tarman from the movie Return of the Living Dead. By the way, I have a special video about this movie in my other channel, Trashing with Gus. If you are interested, check it out. An awesome fight starts between Batman and these creatures, and I kinda like the art in this comic with Batman's wings being so huge and well detailed, almost like they belong to a real creature of the night. Then the woman who appeared in his bedroom and beat him appears to save him, and she says that her name is Tanya, not Talia, Tanya. Another creature also shows up in the scene, a very bizarre winged vampire that is none other than Dracula himself. They have a brief fight and Batman escapes. Later, Tanya visits him again and reveals that Dracula is transforming the homeless people from Gotham City to become his army of vampires and take the city for himself. What a simple and lovely plan. So simple that this is basically what the whole comic is about. Then Tanya and Batman have to join forces to defeat Dracula. Meanwhile, Batman is actually transforming into a real vampire, even growing wings on his back and refusing the Batmobile because now he doesn't need a car anymore. This all will take to a huge battle against Dracula in the end of the comic, which is gonna kill Tanya before Batman could actually fulfill any kind of romantic relationship with her. And then by using adapted weapons to kill a vampire, including silver batarangs, he's gonna be able to defeat the monster, even though he gets very injured in the battle and almost dies himself. Alfred actually thinks that he's dead and spreads the news to all Gotham that Bruce Wayne has actually died. What he doesn't know is that Batman is alive because he became a full vampire, and tells Alfred in the end of the comic that Bruce Wayne is no more, only Batman, or Batman Vampire. And this takes us to the second comic, that is Batman Bloodstorm. And now, there is one still faction of vampires that weren't defeated by Batman in the previous comic, and are still living on the undergrounds of Gotham. And as any great sequel of a Batman story, who enters the picture to use these vampires and create his own empire of creatures? The Joker, of course. Using holy water in the flower of his chest, and also promising the vampires that they will have an ocean of blood to drink in case they follow his orders, he becomes their leader and uses them to kill many mob bosses of Gotham and take control of these organizations. Very well thought. Meanwhile, Batman is still working as a vigilante with the superpowers of a vampire, but unfortunately his thirst for blood is growing every day. He's trying to control it and substitute the blood by a substance that he has created that has similar properties and can temporarily control the thirst, even though it's not enough, and he is becoming more and more obsessive with the idea of drinking blood. We have another subplot in this comic that features Selina Kyle, the Catwoman, also in it, and during one night she is attacked by none other than a werewolf. After all, why not having a werewolf in this comic as well? The presence of this creature here is a little throwaway for me. It doesn't have too much explanation, but it gives us this subplot that she becomes a werewolf woman after being attacked, and she joins Batman in the battle against the Joker and his army of creatures. We have the whole fighting but then becoming partners that always happens between them. I think it's actually interesting that we have two different creatures in the roles of Batman and Catwoman that can have this romantic flair at the same time that they are these two different creatures. Then we also have the idea that because of the bloodthirst that Batman is having, he's becoming more and more monstrous. And this all takes to a climactic battle where Batman and Catwoman will face the Joker and his vampires, plus some of them are now gangsters that were transformed during the story. Unfortunately, Catwoman is gonna end up dead, just like Tanya in the first comic, and this gonna get Batman so furious that in the most awesome scene of this comic, he ends up killing the Joker, but, of course, biting him in the neck and sucking his blood. A very fitting send-off to this version of the villain. The problem is that Batman had promised himself that he would never kill another human just to suck their blood. But now that there is no way back, he asks Alfred and Commissioner Gordon to drive a stake through his heart and put him in a coffin forever, so he can never escape and hurt another human again. And this takes us to the last part of the trilogy, that is Crimson of Mist. This time, with Gotham City having no Batman for real, the criminals are taking over the whole place. And that gives us some of our most beloved Rogues Gallery members, like Scarecrow, Poison Ivy, Two-Face, Killer Croc. And in a measure of despair, Alfred decides to remove the stake from Batman's heart, which resurrects our hero, but this time in a much more monstrous version. Basically a walking corpse thirsty for blood. And in this third part of the trilogy, there's no Batman hero. He is an actual villain, killing criminals all around. And again, this is an elsewhere story, so I love it. So he kills Scarecrow, then Poison Ivy. He actually says to her a very cool line, "You always wanted me, and this is the only way that now I want you," and bites her in the neck. And all these deaths are vicious, gory, pure horror style. There's actually a very shocking scene where he breaks into the Blackgate prison and starts to murder all the convicts in there. Not happy with that, he decapitates them and puts their heads on spikes outside the prison so that they can face the prisoners inside the building looking through their windows. That is just cruel and awesome. Towards the climax of the story, we have a very unusual alliance. Two-Face and Killer Croc decides to join Alfred and Commissioner Gordon to take Batman down, because his fame has spread with the news that there is a criminal serial killer that is going after each one of the big shot villains of the city. Because after Batman killed the inmates of Blackgate Prison, he actually went to Arkham Asylum and murdered everyone in there as well, including Mad Hatter, the Riddler. So Two-Face and Killer Croc are the leftovers of this rogues gallery. They come up with a plan to trap Batman in the Batcave, and a huge fight ensues, with Killer Croc fighting Batman, which causes a distraction for Gordon to shoot a stake through Batman's heart from behind. The hero is temporarily defeated, but of course that's next. Two-Face and Killer Croc reveal their real intentions, and they want Gordon and Alfred dead as well. They attack the Butler and the Commissioner, but then Batman shows up again and, of course, solves the whole situation by killing Harvey Two-Face and Killer Croc. Drinking their blood makes him even more monstrous and crazy, so he proposes an alliance of Gordon and Alfred to him, or if not, he will kill them. What Batman didn't know is that the actual trap in the Batcave was not to shoot a stake through his heart, but to explode some areas of the cave so that it would crumble and reveal the sunlight outside. And this is what Gordon does. He explodes these areas and the sunlight comes in. Unfortunately, he gets killed during this rock fall. And by the way, Alfred was already dead before Batman killed Killer Croc and Two-Face, being mercilessly decapitated by the hero, showing that Batman had no humanity anymore. Which is exactly what happens in the end. He realizes this after Gordon is crushed by the rocks of the cave, and seeing that there was no solution for him, he voluntarily steps into the light and burns to a crisp forever. And this is it. This is Batman Vampire, a trilogy that is okay, but is interesting because it's an elsewhere story with Batman being almost the villain. And like I said in the beginning, going a step further into the whole idea of Batman being this monster of the night, this creature. It's not a great story, but it is a fascinating concept. And the only real flaw with it is that there is no fight between Batman and Man-Bat. Come on, that is such a no-brainer. But anyway, someone might do a new version in the future, and we will have a Batman-Man-Bat fight as a vampire and a creature bat. Why not? And this is it for now. Do you like this saga of Batman Vampire? Comment below. And if you are liking the content of BATGUS, please don't forget to leave your beloved like in this video and also your amazing subscription in this channel so we can keep talking about Batman and DC Universe in the future. Alright? See you in the next video and bye bye.